It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Sports This Week and I'm Prathik S Vinod. Here's a look at what made headlines in the week that was. All week it's been about Pakistan and their never-ending Asia Cup drama. The PCB turned India's handshake snub into a full-blown spectacle. While they demand action against India and match referee Andy Pycroft, the joke may be on them because reports say the ICC is preparing to take action against Pakistan instead. And it's not just cricket bringing shame to Pakistan. A fake football team landed in Japan only to be busted and deported. 22 people arrested, all claiming to be Pakistani players. Has Pakistan now started using sports as a cover for immigration fraud? Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has shifted focus to American sports. The kingdom is all set to host a flag football event, and leading it will be none other than NFL legend Tom Brady. What exactly is Saudi offering that even the biggest legends cannot say no? Meanwhile, a historic win for India in tennis, beating Switzerland 3-1 in the Davis Cup. But this victory has also laid bare the deep flaws in India's tennis system. Can the federation really claim credit for this success? Finally, American tennis star Taylor Townsend is under fire for racist remarks. She mocked Chinese food during a tournament, which is ironic because not so long ago, she was the face of the fight against racism in tennis. Has the victim now become the villain? All that and more coming your way. Pakistan's Asia Cup campaign has gone from bad to worse. Every move they make to keep the spotlight on themselves is only pushing them deeper into embarrassment. The infamous handshake row has boomeranged on the Pakistan Cricket Board. While they demand that India and the ICC match referee Andy Pycroft face sanctions, it is actually Pakistan who are in the dock, facing the possibility of punishment. And to top off the drama, their board is now facing fresh allegations of supplying substandard jerseys to their own players. So the real question, is Pakistan cricket becoming a global laughingstock? Let's quickly rewind. India hammered Pakistan in their Asia Cup clash, a 7-wicket thrashing after all the build-up and the noise. But instead of focusing on their cricketing failures, Pakistan milked the handshake incident for headlines. Before the toss, Suryakumar Yadav did not shake hands with Salman Ali Agha. And after the game, the Indian players walked past the Pakistanis again. Was it against the laws of cricket? Absolutely not. But Pakistan's board and their former stars blew it out of proportion. Former captain Misbah-ul-Haq even claimed that India should be punished.
There are very strict regulations in the sport for these kind of things. If you bring any political statement or even a gesture to the cricket field, there are very heavy penalties. And you can even get a ban as a player. So I think it's absolutely not allowed.
The ICC code is about political gestures. It's not about customary handshakes, not about dedicating a win to the Indian Army. If that's the case, how would the PCB defend dedicating the entire Pakistan Premier League to their army earlier this year? Pakistan were clutching at straws here. What followed was even worse. The PCB actually filed a formal complaint to the ICC. They even dragged match referee Andy Pycroft into the mess, blaming him for quote-unquote mishandling the situation. The ICC swiftly rejected Pakistan's complaint, but instead of moving on, the PCB doubled down and even threatened to boycott. Ahead of their match against the UAE, Andy Pycroft visited Pakistan's team to clarify matters, reportedly to clear the air about what happened. But PCB and their media twisted it. They branded it as a so-called apology. They ran headlines claiming the ICC match referee had apologized, said sorry to Pakistan, a clear fake narrative designed to make the PCB look like a victim. And that's exactly where Pakistan crossed the line, because according to reports, the ICC has now pulled them up for multiple violations of tournament rules. One, for delaying the UAE match by almost an hour, and two, for filming the Pycroft meeting. So while Pakistan screams for sanctions against India, it is the PCB themselves staring at punishment, a textbook case of self-goal and global embarrassment. But that's not the end of the humiliation. Even their own people are furious. Former Pakistani player Atiq-uz-Zaman slammed the board for giving players low-quality kits to wear.
Pakistan players are sweating through low-quality kits while others wear proper dry fits. This is what happens when tenders go to friends, not professionals. Corruption dripping more than the sweat.
The board itself is facing corruption allegations, and yet the PCB tries to hide all their failures behind the India card. Because let's face it, Pakistan cricket is in decline. No ICC trophy since 2017. No wins against India in their last 6 encounters, constant hammerings and a massive gulf in quality. Their cricket has slipped, their credibility has slipped, and now their dignity is slipping too. So what do? They play the victim card. They maneuver and manufacture controversies. They feed their fans half-truths to hide their own failures. But here's the real truth and the unavoidable one. The real victim here is Pakistan cricket, hurt by their own doing. And until the board admits that, until they stop using India as a distraction, and until they clean up the corruption and improve their management and face the harsh reality of their cricket, they will keep losing. Not just on the field, but off it too. From the jerseys on their backs, to the fake narratives in their media, to the penalties they now face from the ICC. Pakistan cricket is writing its own downfall, one embarrassing chapter at a time. So Pakistan's cricket team is using sports to push their political agendas. But what about the rest of the country? They are using sports as a shield for illegal activities. A fake Pakistani football team reached Japan. Let me repeat that. A fake football team from Pakistan. The Japanese authorities exposed the fraud and 22 suspects claiming to be players were arrested. Is Pakistan now using sports for immigration fraud? 22 men pretending to be footballers travelled in full gear with forged papers, and they claimed links with Pakistan's Football Federation. But the Japanese authorities were not fooled. They saw through this drama and exposed the fraud. They deported every single one of them back to Pakistan. And now the big question is, how did these so-called players even leave Pakistan in the first place? Here's what the reports say. The fake team carried a forged no objection certificate stamped with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs' seal. They even flashed fake PFF documents to immigration officers. In short, an elaborate con that could only happen because of loopholes and negligence within Pakistan's own system. The man behind this shameful act? A human trafficking agent named Malik Waqas. He floated a fake club called the Golden Football Trial and charged every player a whopping $15,000 each for the fake dream of Japan. But here's the shocking part, or rather the most shocking part. This wasn't his first attempt. Last year, the same man used the same playbook. He sent 17 men to Japan posing as another fake football club. Not a single one of them ever returned. And sadly, this isn't just about football. It's a trend across sports in Pakistan. Athletes are now using sports visas to vanish abroad. Take hockey, for example. Last year, 4 players from Pakistan's national hockey team tried to seek asylum in Europe. They had travelled on official visas for tournaments and simply decided to not come back. Then there's boxing. Pakistan's own Zohaib Rashid, an Asian Championship bronze medalist. He flew to Italy for Olympic qualifiers, robbed his own teammates and then disappeared. And it doesn't stop there. At the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, 2 Pakistani boxers went missing hours before the contingent was set to fly back home. They even left their passports behind while fleeing. These incidents are not one-offs. There's a symptom of a system collapsing. Pakistan's sporting structure is in absolute ruins. Hockey players have openly accused their federation of not paying salaries on time. Boxers complain of zero support. And elite footballers, they are selling goods on the street. One of them turned to hawking. So when the structure offers nothing, naturally fraudsters step in. Athletes and even fake athletes see sport as a ticket out. And conmen like Waqas exploit it. But the most shocking part of this latest scandal is what it says about Pakistan's governance. If someone can forge Pakistan Football Federation papers, if someone can fake a Ministry of Foreign Affairs stamp, and if immigration officers can wave them through without a second thought, then what does that say about the country's system? It screams negligence, it screams corruption, and it screams how casual Pakistan has become with its institutions. Pakistan's cricket team is crying about handshakes and conspiracies, but in the real world, their own athletes officials and conmen are using sport as a cover for crime. At the end of the day, it's a mirror showing the state of Pakistan's sport, its institutions, its credibility on the global stage. While their leaders waste time spinning narratives against India, scandals like the fake football team are exposing them on the world stage. Saudi Arabia's business model is shifting from oil barrels to stadiums, from petroleum to prime-time sports. And here's the twist. Riyadh's ambitions aren't just limited to hosting global events. They are now storming into the American sports industry. And once again, it's a legend who is fronting their campaign. NFL icon Tom Brady, widely considered to be the greatest quarterback in football history, and he will come out of retirement for the inaugural global flag football event in Saudi Arabia next year. And this, despite Brady already having a $375 million broadcast deal in the United States. Which brings us to the big question, what is Saudi Arabia offering that even legends like Brady simply cannot refuse? And more importantly, is Riyadh now officially eyeing American sports as its next battlefield? For years, Saudi Arabia has faced criticism, accused of using sports as a tool for sports washing, basically polishing over its human rights record. But today, it's no longer about the image, it's about business, a full-blown billion-dollar sports empire taking shape. They've entered Formula One, they've taken over golf with LIV, they've dipped into tennis, boxing and football, and they've done it with perfect timing every single time. Cristiano Ronaldo ignited their football league. Lewis Hamilton pushing their F1 Grand Prix into the global spotlight. Rafael Nadal becoming the face of tennis in the kingdom. And now, Tom Brady, the NFL's most decorated player, is spearheading Saudi's push into America's biggest sport. On March 21st next year, in 2026, Saudi Arabia will host the first ever global flag football event. Now, for those unfamiliar, flag football is a faster, toned down version of American football. It's 5-on-5 format, less contact and a lot more speed. And it's just been approved for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. That means Saudi Arabia has once again beaten everyone else to the punch. They are hosting the event even before the sport makes its Olympic debut. And the face of it is Tom Brady. That's not just strategy, that's master timing. NFL isn't the only sport, American sport, that Saudi Arabia is targeting. They paid WWE a massive $250 million to host WrestleMania in 2027. Back in 2024, they increased the prize pool of WTA finals to $15.25 million. They organized a King's Slam event with a prize money of $6 million and top stars in the picture. If they're willing to spend that much just to host, imagine what they're offering the players behind closed doors. And here's the kicker. Saudi contracts are rarely public. Cristiano Ronaldo was expected to leave Al Nassr. Instead, he quietly signed an extension. Reports suggest not only a bigger salary but ownership stakes in the club once he retires. When money is this endless, loyalty is always negotiable. And it's working football in Saudi Arabia. It's no longer a novelty, it's becoming a force. At the FIFA World Cup, Saudi Arabia and the Saudi clubs stunned European giants. Al Hilal beat Manchester City and they held Real Madrid and reached the quarter-finals. The kingdom is hosting the 2034 FIFA World Cup. Tennis has surged in popularity thanks to Nadal's brand ambassadorship, and golf has been transformed under LIV, and now the NFL is next. Make no mistake, once they've opened the door to flag football, it's only a matter of time before baseball and even the NBA find themselves tempted by Riyadh's checkbooks. So here's the reality. What started as accusations of sports washing has now evolved into something far bigger. Saudi Arabia is building a parallel global sports empire, one where the kingdom isn't just a host, but a central player dictating terms and shaping the future of world sport. And the formula is simple. Play more, act fast, buy legends and control the narrative. Tom Brady isn't just returning for a game of flag football, he's returning as proof of just how much influence Saudi Arabia now holds even in the heart of American sports. The world may call it sports washing, but for Riyadh, this is business, power and prestige all rolled into one. And the message is clear, in the future of sports, all roads will likely lead to Saudi Arabia.
India scripted history at the Davis Cup after beating Switzerland 3-1. For the first time since 1993, the Indian team managed to beat a European nation on their own turf. A monumental achievement, right? But here's the big question. Can Indian tennis really claim this win? Because the players didn't just battle Switzerland, they battled something much tougher, the failures of their own system. The logistical nightmares, the administrative blunders, the sheer apathy of the Indian Tennis Federation. It's almost as if India's biggest opponent isn't across the net. It's sitting in the offices of the All India Tennis Association. Tennis is often seen as an individual sport, personal coaches, personal trainers, personal funding. But when you put on that India jersey, the sport transforms into a team battle. And the National Federation is supposed to play the biggest supporting role. But at the Davis Cup, that support was missing. In fact, instead of sending the best possible squad to Switzerland, the ITA had other priorities. Not tennis, not players, but officials. The Federation debated whether to send 3 double specialists because that would eat into their budget. Budget they preferred to spend on flying in officials. Those officials who had nothing to do with the winning matches. So while the players were preparing to grind on the court, the administrators were preparing to sightsee the Swiss Alps. Had it not been for Captain Rohit Rajpal, India might not even have had the proper team balance. Rajpal pushed back. He ensured there was enough depth in the squad, and when Yuki Bhamri pulled out, his decision proved vital because Ritwik Bolipalli stepped in. Imagine that. A win scripted not because of the system, but in spite of it. The doubles team may have stumbled, but India still fought hard. And 2 men rose to the occasion, Sumit Nagal and Dakshineshwar Suresh. First up, Dakshineshwar Suresh, a raw rising talent. Rajpal saw his potential early on, but did the Indian tennis system fight back him? Absolutely not. From his junior days to the professional circuit, Suresh has had to fund himself. Travel costs, equipment, training, all handled from his own pocket. His saving grace, former star Somdev Devvarman, stepping in as his mentor. And then there's Sumit Nagal, India's top-ranked men's singles player. Last year, Nagal pulled out of the Davis Cup. How did the ITA respond? With empathy? With support? No. They accused him of prioritizing money over the country. The same player who represents India globally had to defend himself on social media, clarifying he wasn't turning his back on India. The recognition bare minimum, the criticism through the roof. And yet, despite all of this, these players delivered in Switzerland. But here's the problem. This win will now be used by the Federation as a shield. They will boast about India's historic triumph. They will expect players to keep performing at the highest level. But when it comes to providing the structure, the funding, the vision, the ITA is nowhere to be seen. Just look at the global picture. Nations that dominate tennis, Spain, USA, Switzerland, France, they don't just rely on 1 or 2 stars. Yes, Federer and Nadal are generational talents. But would Federer have been Federer without Swiss backing? Would Nadal have survived without the Spanish system, building academies, grassroots programs, financial pipelines? Every strong tennis nation invests heavily in youth, infrastructure and coaching. India, on the other hand, expects players to fight without weapons. India's Davis Cup win over Switzerland is historic, but it's also a mirror showing us that Indian players are carrying the tricolour on their shoulders while the federation sits back and enjoys the ride. If India truly wants to be a force in tennis, if we want to see an Indian star dominate a Grand Slam or crack the top 10, then the system must change. The players have done their job. Now it's time for the administrators to do theirs. Until then, Indian tennis will keep winning the occasional battle, but unfortunately will keep losing the long-term war. America's tennis star Taylor Townsend has landed herself in the middle of a firestorm. Her comments about China, its food and its people have sparked massive outrage. So now she stands accused of racism. A shocking turnaround because not too long ago at the US Open, Townsend was praised as a fighter against racism. The big question is, has the racism victim turned into a racist herself? Townsend is currently competing at the Billie Jean King Cup in Shenzhen. But instead of headlines about her tennis, she is grabbing attention for one controversial social media post. The 29-year-old mocked the food served in China, not privately to organizers, not politely to the chef, but publicly for the entire world to see.
What the hell? Turtle and bullfrog is wild. These people are literally killing frogs, bullfrogs. Aren't those the ones that give warts and boils and stuff?
And what followed was explosive. The hashtag American tennis player publicly insults Chinese food went viral on Chinese social media platform. It shot to the top trending topic list in a matter of hours. Chinese fans accused her of arrogance, of racism, of disrespecting the culture. And suddenly, Townsend was branded a racist herself. The backlash, in fact, grew so loud that Townsend had no choice but to apologize.
I wanted to apologize sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I have nothing but the most amazing experience and time here. There is no excuse. I will be better.
Now here's why this incident blew up in such a massive way. Because not too long ago, Taylor Townsend herself was a victim of racism. During the second round of the US Open against Yelena Ostapenko, tempers flared, words were exchanged, and Ostapenko was caught saying Townsend had no class and no education. The remarks directed at a person of colour immediately sparked a racism row. And back then, Townsend was hailed for how she handled the situation. Even Ostapenko was forced to apologize after the incident blew up. And through all of that, Townsend emerged with dignity, talking about how she represents her community on the world stage. She was seen as someone who fought back with grace. But now, just weeks later, the tables have turned. The same player who once demanded respect for herself, failed to extend it to others. By referring to Chinese citizens as these people and mocking their food, she crossed a line that top-level athletes are expected never to cross. Because here's the reality. She wasn't just speaking as Taylor Townsend, the individual. She was speaking as Taylor Townsend, an American tennis player in China. Every word she posted was not just hers. It became a representation of her country, her sport, and her profession. And this is where athletes sometimes forget their influence. Townsend could have easily asked the organizers for an alternative meal. She could have avoided dishes she didn't like. But the moment she uploaded that mocking video, the story shifted. It was no longer about personal taste. It became about an American athlete insulting Chinese culture. And that is how scandals are born. That is how cultural divides deepen. So where does this leave Taylor Townsend? She apologized, yes. But apologies do not erase the damage. For someone who once stood tall against racism, she has now been caught on the other side of it. Taylor Townsend's case is a reminder, racism isn't just about skin color. It's about stereotypes. It's about othering. It's about mocking cultures you don't understand. Townsend once asked the tennis world to show her respect. Now the world is asking her the same question. Will she learn to give respect the same way she once demanded it? It is about character. And right now, Taylor Townsend has a lot of work to do. Not on the court, but off it.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.